Well, now, without any doubt, if you happen to see these 5 money red flags in your partner, I'm telling you, and you guys, you're planning to live together as husband and wife, you're supposed to run as fast as you can. You know why? I know most of the relationships are controlled by the love, the way we feel, not the way we think. But when it comes to finance, and it's quite funny that when people are dating, they mostly consider how they are feeling. But in most cases, when marriage is breaking, in most cases, the relationship or the fact actually comes from the finance. So if you do not get it right as early as this, you're going to get yourself into major problems. How about today I disturb your comfort a little bit and tell you the truth, what you're supposed to be looking at when it comes to finance? I know one thing, I know you guys, you're controlled by love, but one thing that you're supposed to understand, you cannot ignore the aspect of finance in any given relationship. Whether you're married or you're looking forward to get married, finance is one of the most important things that you're supposed to look at. And I'm going to share with you 5 red flags. And if you see them as early as you can, and you're in a position whereby you can be able to vacate, I would advise you do so as fast as you can, because all what you're doing, you're just prolonging the inevitable. 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years from today, probably you shall be calling people and asking them, what exactly should I do? Because the situation where I am right now, I do not even know what I can be able to do. How about we go together and check all these 5 red flags? But before we do that, do you know that I always post a video each and every day talking about investments, how to make money, be it either online, in a conventional way, starting businesses, and all those tips free of charge. So if you don't want to miss any of my good videos in the future, do this. It doesn't cost you anything. Down below there on your right, there is a very small button written subscribe. Hit that magical button, turn the notification bell, and like this video. And don't forget to comment down below. And by only doing that, a whole YouTube will notify you whenever I upload a new good video. So enough with that introduction, let's get into the business. Now, exactly what are these 5 money red flags that you see them, you're supposed to, or you ought to run as fast as you can? The very first sign is that what we call the uncontrolled spendthrift. And guess what? These guys are actually spenders, but they are what? They are lazy at making it. If you want, let me tell you one thing. Have you ever been in a situation or have you ever seen two partners who they belong to two different worlds? You find that one is a hoarder who believes in saving, sacrifices, and all those kind of things in terms of the building the future. But the other one is controlled by spending. They just love spending. They believe that once you make the money, you're supposed to spend it. You know, you're supposed to incorporate it in your life. Money is there to be spent. Life is for the living. Life is short. It's good to nice yourself and all those kind of things. So they always do that, or they always explain those points just to justify where they are spending thrift. And if you see this sign you can actually see it's not only from your lady, but also to your man. There's a guy, maybe you say you are dating out there, and you guys, you're planning about serious thing, and this dude has been employed, let's say, for the last 3 or 4 years. And I know this is quite a sensitive question to ask them, but it's good to go ahead and ask them. If you look around, you have never seen any sort of investment. They have never talked about investments with you. They never talked about starting a business, maybe buying shares, maybe doing something. All that they talk about is me loving you and me being with you, us making babies and all those kind of things. It's good to make sure that at least you look, this guy, maybe all the time he takes you out, you make sure that you're happy and all those kind of things. Sometimes it's good you ask yourself, for how long this may be taken out will be sustained. They can be, or they may be spendthrift, and they need somebody in their lives who actually gonna control them in terms of how they spend their money. That's red flag number one. Red flag number two, you find that they don't see any value of today's sacrifice. Have you ever tried to sell an idea to somebody and tell them, hey, I think the way you're using your money is not quite a good way? Personally, I've ever faced this kind of a challenge, and I tell them, hey, you know what? The way you're spending your money, yeah, I understand it's none of my business, and indeed it's none of my business, but let me just say whatever is in my mind, all right? And they say, go ahead and say it. And I tell them, the way I think or the way I see you do spend your money, I don't think is appropriate. I would prefer if maybe you could have done this and this. It's not an advice, by the way, but you can take it as so. But if you ask me, I would suggest that you could have actually directed this cash on this direction, done this or do the other. And this is how they do. They develop what we call the defense mechanism. They explain to you how smart they are, how amazing plan they are. And at the end of the day, at the back of your head, you know very well, this guy, they're just trying to, justify themselves. And also, actually, if you try to sell them the idea of, hey, how about you sacrifice, let's say, 2 or 3 days? It's not a must that we live in that expensive bungalow house or what have you. How about you sacrifice 2 to 3 years, and maybe after today, we may do something amazing and we can actually achieve all that we are looking for. And they actually turn out to be very different people. They turn hostile. They think that you're doing that, you're just limiting their or your money towards them, maybe because, all those guys, they just have a lot of things to cling on and hooks attached just to, kind of make it look like as if you're now becoming a bad person. If they cannot be able to buy the aspect of sacrifice, and when I say sacrifice, I don't mean to the extreme of not eating and not dressing. What I mean is that sometimes you may say, hey, you know what? Instead of us grabbing that coffee maybe 3 times a week in that expensive place, how about we, save a little bit and buy that coffee making machine, and you can be making coffee back at home. Maybe that one can save a little bit of our coins. And they don't buy the idea. They just want to hang around there, because all what they do, most of them, they tend to do these things so that they can please the others, just to make others look like, hey, you know what, guys, I made it and this is where I am. And whatever, maybe you tell them, hey, I don't think it's quite right time for us to build our home. How about we focus on maybe getting ourselves into the real estate first, and then we can focus on building our home using the passive income after acquiring the asset. They give you a lot of information. They tell you, hey, we should do this and all those kind of things. So whenever you get yourself in such kind of a situation with this kind of an individual, be very wary and be very, very careful. Sometimes, by the way, these guys, to advise them, it becomes very, very hard and tough. The third point is, we find these guys, they have, or they're controlled by what we call the consumer mindset. And by the way, on this consumer mindset, you tend to find that usually actually accompanied by something called the mental, we call it, scarcity mentality. Something called, scarcity. These guys believe that money is not there, money should be hoarded, money should be saved, and money should be spent. The whole reason why we work, the reason why we have money is to spend it, to make ourselves happy and do all other things. You see, if you find somebody who has what we call the consumer mindset, these are the people who just know how to consume it. They just believe in all about consumption. Once you expose them to money, or what they think, I saw a shoe somewhere, I saw a suit somewhere, I saw something, I saw a vacation, we should go somewhere, by the way, there is an offer somewhere, and all those kind of things. Or what they're giving you on the table, it's about consumption, consumption, consumption. They never hit you with a reality like, hey, I get we got a good deal, and I think what we can be able to do right now, maybe we can buy a piece of land somewhere, perhaps maybe we can buy a property. How about you get ourselves into matatu business? How about you start Miyaka business? How about you get a thing? But obviously, there's something called, you see, when I say consumer mindset, do not confuse it with not enjoying yourself. This is quite a delicate balance. You're supposed to find a balance in all these three things. You have to know how to enjoy yourself, obviously, because after all, we are human beings. Number two, we need to know, understand, hey, this money that you're getting, we need to channel it somewhere where it can actually be generating some income for us. So you need to balance all three aspects. So by if you're controlled or ruled by one, just the consumer mindset, you realize that they all have the consumer mindset. And maybe you just tell them, whenever you tell them you're gonna take them somewhere, they just say, yes, no problem. We're gonna go somewhere, yes, no problem. They never question you and ask you, hey, I don't think we are really doing the right thing, because, hey, guess what? In a week, we tend to consume close to 10K, 20, 30, 40,000 in a single week, enjoying ourselves and making ourselves happy. I'm glad and I like that. That's an amazing thing. But again, how about we do this or the other? Perhaps we can actually make our future secured more than it is. That is exactly how you do the things. But if you just find somebody who is just controlled by the consumer mindset, and let me tell you one secret, sometimes we may do something in the name of, hey, I'm trying to do these things to make them happy. And once you do it the first time, the second, by the time you're doing it the fourth time, they have already made it look as if, hey, it ought to be done, or it has to be done on us. So the moment you don't do it on the seventh or the eighth time, now they say, hey, you're not a good person. So it is good to understand that individual who you're dealing with, to see whether they are controlled or ruled by what we call the consumer mindset. So if you realize they're controlled by what we call the consumer mindset, then from there, you may either decide to sit them down, have the conversation, but don't approach them on a judgmental perspective. Because if you approach them on a judgmental perspective, you sit on the other side and tell them, hey, you just have a consumer mindset, you're not a good person, good Joseph told us. No, what you do is that you engage wisdom. First of all, I say it's all about diplomacy before war begins. So you sit them down, you can incorporate, a financial advisor. You can give me a call. By the way, that's why I have my number on the description of this specific video. I offer, what we call a mentor, or not really mentorship, or, a mentorship program as far as the finances consult to couples. You can give me a call. We can come to your house. I can take you through, talk about investments and what have you. Those are the services that I usually offer. Grab my number from the description of this box, okay? Or rather this video. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, do not sit on the judgmental to sit and try to throw some jabs to them and tell them how quote unquote stupid they are and all those kind of things. No, you need to have wisdom on how to approach them. So if you realize that they're actually teachable, there are people who are ready to learn, then amazing. You consider yourself having a lucky individual on the board. By the way, they can have these weaknesses, but they are ready to learn. But we're going to check that one as the last option here. Now, the fourth one is that the family has a control of their finances. Have you ever engaged with an individual, wherever they want to buy something, they have to ask their mother, they have to ask their father. That, like, say, let's say somebody is married somewhere and they want to buy a car. You find before they buy that car, the mom has to be notified, the dad has to be notified, the uncle has to be notified, and all those kind of things. Like, this guy, he still has some strings attached on how they do not have full control of their lives. And let me tell you one secret: if you get yourself on board with such kind of an individual, it will be very, very hard for you guys to actually progress, because this person actually has what we call, he sort of have a tied leg. Whenever you want to make a decision, hey, mama has to be notified. Hey, you know what? I got to tell my mother I want to buy a piece of land. I just want to ask my mother or ask my father whether this is a good idea and all those kind of things. And this guy is a grown-up man. He's maybe 40s, all those kind of things. And I don't know what you guys, you call them, baby mamas or whatever they are. So is it baby mamas or mama's boy or something of sort, or mama's girl? We also have some mama's girl. Okay, whenever you have to do something, maybe you sit down with your wife and talk to her about the progress thing that you want to make. The next minute, the whole information is with her mother, is with her father, and all those kind of things. And now I'm telling you, if you realize your individual has that kind of a character, it's gonna take you guys a milestone and grace of God to actually change that individual, because actually that can get you into a very, very big and messy problem. I have seen some families gone down because of exactly that. You see, when you become an adult, when you become an individual, a dependent individual, you're supposed to be making decisions by yourself. There is no problem with asking an idea, but don't frequent yourself to the place and keep all the time asking the ideas. Hey, I want to make this. You actually explain the move that you want to make. Sometimes it's good to make a move as a man or as a lady, as a beautiful lady out there. Make a move, and it's good to consult, but at the same time, do not make it look like as if each and every day you have to call them, ask them, inform them whatever you are doing, and all those kind of things. By the way, if there is something hard to advise people, is when it comes to family matters. At this juncture, whenever you realize that your partner is actually involving the family members in any decision that they are making, sitting them down and talking to them, I can assure you without no doubt, this is the hardest thing you can ever do to them. It's very hard to actually change them. It is very hard to actually bring them to a boat whereby telling them, hey, you're supposed to be independent, make decisions on your own. They will smack you with one word and it can hurt you the rest of your life. So at this juncture, you need to have a psychology, as a psychology, somebody who can actually go them and handle them and tell them some of the things, because this is quite a complicated software that they do have in their head. And before you get rid of it, it's going to take you a grace of God. It's very complicated. I have actually seen some families going down because of this character. Anyway, that's not the point. The last one is that these people, they have what we call the poor management skills, be it either money, anything, managing their time and all those kind of things. And guess what? There is no problem with that, because these are skills that can be learned, okay? The problem is that they're never ready to learn, and you can only be ready to learn if you accept correction. But these are the people who never accept correction. And if you meet somebody in life, they are stupid, and the problem, and on top of that, is that they never love to be corrected. Then at the end of the day, I am telling you, it's gonna be very hard for you guys to actually come on a simple platform whereby you agree on something. So there is no problem with somebody having bad management skills, but if they're not ready to learn, now that's where we draw the lines. Guess what? If you identify those 5 red flags, be very wary, take precautions, and if you can, I am telling you, this one, I always tell people in things in black and white, if you can, run. We say run, Murife. That's what we say in Kenya. Okay, anyway, guess what, guys? You can grab my number from the description of this specific video. Give me a call or text. You can get copies of my booklets on investments, about business plans, and what have you. A copy only goes for $280. For now, it's a goodbye. See you in the next one.